Hello and welcome to the Nerd Cave Remote Technical Support video channel. Today I want to go over some free applications you can get online for some of the more popular applications that people use. I'm going to start with Microsoft Office. Generally you can purchase Microsoft for around $250 or more depending on the version that you get. A lot of the programs that Microsoft has available in it you can also download for free. There's two programs that I know of you can use. The first one is LibreOffice, and we'll go to the LibreOffice website and you can just click the download now link and select your operating system. Most of the newer computers are x86 64. Older ones, the 32-bit ones, are x86. Just so you know, x86 is 32-bit and then x86 64 is 64-bit. So most of you are likely using Windows. Mac users, looks like the only version they have available is the 64-bit, but fortunately most Mac computers these days are 64-bit. But you can download LibreOffice. It is kind of a large download, so it might take a little while to download. Once it's done, you need to find the installer usually in your download directory and double click it and run the installer and set it up with the default settings and it's fine. As an example, here's a sample Word document that I downloaded. This is in Microsoft Word, and the same document opened in LibreOffice Writer. It's a little bit different, but it's formatted for Microsoft, so naturally some of the commands used for formatting items on the page LibreOffice doesn't recognize, and you'll have to learn how to format these yourself. But if you don't mind a little bit of a learning curve with your word processor, LibreOffice is definitely a good choice. It's one I use all the time. I have a monthly subscription to Microsoft, which I turn on and cancel when I'm not using it. Right now I'm not using it. Usually I only turn it on when I'm doing development, like I'm writing a specific program for, usually Excel is what I write programs for. But this is a Word document in LibreOffice. There's a little bit of a formatting issue here. Here's a table, and it hasn't been aligned properly, probably because it's missing some items. Like let's try wrap left. That works a little bit, but it takes a little bit of work to line some of these up. This looks like it's not where it's supposed to be, but at least it's paragraphed properly. Let me see if I can move it up to the top of the page. A little more. There we go. Yeah, so sometimes you got to do a little bit of formatting yourself if you want to work with a Word document. But it is good for viewing Word documents if someone sends them to you. The other program in the Office suite would be Excel, which is fairly popular. Here's a sample Excel document that I downloaded. And here's the same file in LibreCalc, actually is what it's called, LibreOffice Calc. I can do a lot of the same features with LibreOffice that I do with Excel. I can create charts based on data in another sheet, add new sheets as I want to. And the final program for the Office suite I want to go over is PowerPoint. A lot of people that I know use this for doing presentations at hotels and conventions and whatnot. And here's a sample PowerPoint presentation in PowerPoint, and here's the same one in LibreOffice Impress. So it looks pretty good. I don't see a lot of offset margins or anything like that. It looks like they did a pretty good job with it between the two. I don't know how well it will do if you start adding graphs. Let's try this one out. Not too bad. A little bit of a difference font, and as far as the table, maybe some height-wise issues in the table cells, but it looks pretty good. yeah, so Impress looks like it's a pretty good program. I rarely ever use presentation software, but I know a lot of people do, so would be interested in this. So that basically covers the bulk of the Office software I wanted to get into. There is a free alternative for Office software if you find you desperately need one. LibreOffice is the one I use. You can also use, let's see, go to Google and we'll search for OpenOffice. And this is another free Office program. I don't use this one. As far as I know, it's fairly similar to LibreOffice. LibreOffice is what's called a fork of OpenOffice. Apparently there was a little bit of a disagreement between some developers who were working on OpenOffice, so a set of developers created their own fork of OpenOffice and called it LibreOffice. So the features are fairly similar. I don't know who maintains one over the other, but I just decided to pick one, and it was LibreOffice, and that's worked for me. But OpenOffice may have some features that LibreOffice doesn't have, and vice versa, so you'd really have to try them out and see what you like the most, or check out reviews. Now, some free recording software that I use, and I don't know how this is going to react. I'll bring it onto the main screen. This is OBS Studio. I think they only have a 32-bit version. But this is what I use for recording my screen while I do these demonstrations and tutorials. And it's a little bit complex, just kind of a learning curve to it, but I was able to figure out some of the basic features and add filter to like my audio input. If I go there and take a look, actually I need to right click it, click filters. I've had to add some filters in order to handle some noise suppression from junk I get in the background and whatnot. Display capture. I don't think I have any filters there, no. But there are some properties for it. I can select which screen I'm using. This is the main screen. I have a secondary screen, which this isn't set for, but that's fine. I probably have to add an additional display capture for the secondary screen, but I'm not going to do that now. Controls are fairly simple once you get everything set up. You set up your displays here. You can even add overlaid graphics on top of this. I used to have an icon on one of my other channels down here in the corner, but I don't have one right now for Nerd Cave. Settings there's a lot in settings. Here's general, stream. I use the output function and I tell it where to store videos. There's also some hotkeys you can set up to turn recording on and off and do other features. There's actually quite a bit you could do with it because it is a studio program, so you can do transitions from certain things. I really haven't explored all the features in OBS Studio. I've used it for recording my desktop. I've also used it for recording playthrough on games that I play, and it's worked out really well. But I've used it for streaming. I've streamed to YouTube with it, and I think I've streamed to Twitch. I'm not sure. But Twitch is a service that you can use for online streaming. Now, for editing my videos, I use DaVinci Resolve. It's a good program. I like using it. If you use Final Cut or something, or just anything where you're paying more money than you'd like to, it wouldn't hurt to check out DaVinci Resolve. It's actually a video editor that's designed for some complex hardware. This is right here. You can see the panel that they sell. I think it's like a $10,000 or $20,000 editing suite that you can buy. Here's the free one you can buy. Well, let's see. Oh, there is a pay-for version. I didn't know that. It includes everything found on the free version plus multi-user collaboration features that let editors, colorists, effect artists all work together on the same project. Okay, so that's obviously for a team, so you probably want to invest in that if you had a number of people working on the same project. But since I work just on my own, yeah, down near the bottom of the web page, here's the download link for DaVinci Resolve. And you just click the download, then you pick your operating system. And usually they want your details, email address and whatnot, which I had no problem giving them. And I think it sends you an email link, which you can download from your email, or it'll send you the link right away. I can't remember exactly. But as per usual, you just open it wherever it was downloaded and run the executable and install it on your computer. Yeah, this is the hardware, I think, for DaVinci. It's turned out to be a very good video editing software. As far as learning it was concerned, I went online to YouTube and Found some tutorials, I believe. Yeah, basic tutorial, DaVinci Resolve tutorials, basic. The next program I want to get into is a program for editing graphics. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Photoshop or any of those graphics editing programs from Adobe, but I did never want to fork out the cash for something like that in the first place. And when I started using Linux, one of the more popular graphics programs for Linux was the GIMP. And it's worked out pretty well for me. I'm not sure if I have it installed. Yeah, I do. It takes a little bit of time to load the data files when you initially start it for the first time. After that, and it might take a few seconds to scan for new fonts every time it opens. But this is a program I'm really comfortable using. It lets me work with files as layers. Let's create a new, let's see, advanced options. I want transparency. Just do a small one. Let's add a circle. And see, let's change the color to red. Draw a circle. And grab these edges and make the circle a little bigger. And I think there's stroke selection. Line point's going to be 6.0. That's good. Okay, so now we've got that. Now let's fill it with blue. Oops. You could swap the background and foreground colors. Actually, I'm going to do that. We'll swap those. And then go to bucket fill and fill the circle. Now let's add some text. Change our color to black. And let's see, 18 point. We'll just pick some kind of random thing here. That's interesting. Venus rising. Let's try that out. Click in here and do. Alright, I guess that'll work. Now I'm going to go up here and click the selector tool, or the move tool actually, and I can move this, make sure it's there. And I can turn layers on and off over here, the background. I can swap them. Now the text is behind the background. I turn off the background, I can see the text. But I really enjoy using this program for graphics editing. I can also export to a number of different file types. I'll just go to Pictures, export as a PNG, export, and then if we go over here to Pictures, there's the image I just made. So, nice little program. I really enjoy using it. So that's my graphics editor, my video editor, and my Office software, and my screen capture software. There's a whole bunch of other programs you can look at. Yeah, there's this website. I actually got this through Facebook. It was on my side panel, and 20 free open source applications. That's where I got the idea for this video. Some of these, not everyone's going to want to use or be familiar with. This is Simple Screen Recorder. I'm not sure if there's a Windows version of this. It's not something that I use in Windows. Jasper Studio. What is this, Report Designer program? Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a Windows version of that. Visual Studio Codes for developers. Tux Guitar looks interesting. You can make music with this, and there is a Windows version of this. Ikiga is like a Skype clone. You can use, it's open source though, you don't have to, well, you probably don't have to pay fees for Skype either, but probably the only reason I'd use Ikiga is because it has a lot less resource usage than Skype would. Child's Play is obviously a program for children. Looks like they've got a Windows version here that they have in their screenshot. Dia is a diagramming program. FreeCAD, I know they have a Windows version of this, and it's a simple CAD software you can use for designing things. So probably just about anything you use that you have to pay for, you can probably find an open source or free software solution online somewhere if you just look. It's certainly an alternative I like to use because I do try to save cash whenever possible as far as software is concerned. And like in the case of the GIMP, I started using the GIMP right away because I really didn't want to get into buying I had bought like JASK graphics editing software years ago, and I was getting really familiar with that, and then I found out about the GIMP. So I started using that because it basically had the same features that JASK did, and it was able to do the things that I was wanting to do in JASK. So I started using the GIMP, and they had a Windows release, so I just started using it every opportunity I have, and I've just gotten more familiar with that than any other graphics editing program. They have a lot of features and filters, drop shadow and image warping and all kinds of strange things you can do. It's a really handy program. As far as video editing, I used to use Windows Movie Maker, and then the later releases of Windows, like probably from Windows, I'm not sure if it was 7 or 8, they stopped releasing Movie Maker. And some of the features, I don't think all of the features work in the newer releases of Windows, so I stopped using that, and I started using video editing software in Linux only, and I used Kdenlive for a while, which worked really well for me. But when I got my new computer, I didn't necessarily want to install Linux right away, so I had to change up what video editing software I was going to use, so I found DaVinci Resolve, and I believe it's also compatible with Linux. I know you can use it on a Mac, but I decided to start getting familiar with that, and that's worked out pretty well so far. It seems like it's very well written software. I never really have any crashes with it, so I'll just stick with that for now and just learn that because it is a free solution, and I like free solutions when I can find them. That's it for this video. I hope it helped you out. Make sure you visit our website, www.the-nerdcave.com, and tell your friends about me. I'd love to hear from them. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.